right, aloha. Aloha. So we know why you guys are all here, so we'll just get right to it. For tonight, I am going to kick off exactly what this competition is about, and then I'm going to go into just how you can win it. So a little bit of a quick background. So I've been here with the university for a little over a year, and have been through, we have this contest, the Great Ideas, every year, and I've been through it once. And when we got discussing as faculty in the Entrepreneurship Center, we felt that there needed to be something more that empowered you. And we've been working on this, and really a tribute to all the entrepreneurs in the center as we've been really trying to push it with the administration. We've crossed, I would say, well, I don't want to say cross boundaries, but we've gone to new areas that have never happened before, and have gotten things for you that in the past were denied. So we're excited for this to happen. We invite your questions. If you've had me as a teacher, you know that I welcome questions. Raise your hand if you have a question even while I'm talking. This is not just a lecture, this is a discussion and participation. So, to kick this all off, let's talk about 4 areas of what this contest entails. And we have the contest, the judges, the criterion, and the rules. So first of all, what is it all about? I want to throw this out. I teach internet commerce and mobile apps and Enactus as a class, and I have been pounding this into my students, and it's been really fuzzy. So I want to throw it out to you that have heard about it. What is this contest all about? I teach, so I can, I'm used to silence, so we can be here all day. I'm fine. Samantha.
It's about your business, or like sharing your business idea, not just sharing it, but getting the opportunity to put it on the market and really get something going, and using all the resources that you can through like all the networks you have around you right now.
Okay, I appreciate Samantha being the brave soul. She hit a lot of parts that it is. Callie? Okay, yeah. So take what Samantha said and Callie said and merge them together. This is a very hard concept. Even as entrepreneurs, we were discussing with this, and we were just like, okay, how do we make this what it really needs to be? So there are companies that overnight have been able to get large, what you call brand advocates, people that talk, who share that company. Overnight, or even through a period of time, using what we're going to do for our contest. So let me throw out, what's a company that has, if we look at what a brand advocate, someone who really supports a company, who is a fanboy or fangirl, name some companies that come to mind that have strong brand advocacy. Apple. That is like the #1 example. Why? Why is Apple why do so many people talk about it? They just launched the iPhone 6, and to be honest, they're a little bit behind their competitors with that. We were just looking at a video today how the iPhone 6 Plus bends in your pocket, and it's not supposed to. So why are so many people crazy about Apple? What are some of your thoughts?
They bring these new product, and also like they realize what is best for the customer.
Say that again. Sorry, some of the chairs were rustling.
What is best for the customer, so they bring the new product each time.
So what's best for the product? They bring something new each time. Where you get?
Yeah, that's it. They just have really excellent presentation. Like, they've got the video that comes out. They've got a beautiful website. They put a lot of thought into design for the products.
So yeah, design was a huge thing with Steve Jobs. They said designers would hate to see Steve Jobs in an elevator because that means their weekends would go away. So they would avoid him. Marvin?
It's just a cool thing to have. I mean, everyone got it. It's like, having Nike got Nike, it's a cool thing to have. You walk around the Reeboks, you look, so it's the cool phone to have.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up Nike. I mean, Nike started with a guy taking a waffle iron to rubber. That's what Nike was, and putting it on the bottom of the shoe. But yeah, there's definite brand advocacy there. Yeah, go ahead.
Part of it because they have a good customer service, not like other cell phone sellers. You don't need your receipt to go to Apple Store. They will accept it. And part of it, they have customer have a good experience. Yeah.
So the user experience is pretty solid, is what you're saying. Yeah, Megan.
I think people just trust Apple. They don't want to buy a new phone from Amazon. They don't want it from Apple. They trust it.
Okay, so trust. These are all really good. Now this contest is going to explore on why that's the case. And I would challenge the responses that came in that's really not the reason why. And we're going to talk about the real reason why. We hear trust, we hear it's a cool thing, we hear it's a great user experience, but there's something even deeper. And so we're going to cover that. So this contest is about your story on film. Okay, and when I say your story, obviously this is coming from the Entrepreneurship Center, the Willis Center. It is connected to business. And that really creates an interesting dichotomy. You have business here that's so used to, what we call interruption marketing. And if you listen to the radio or you watch television, you are very, very familiar with interruption marketing. You're watching a good TV show and a commercial comes on and you're like, I'm going to go get something to eat, because you don't care. They're interrupting your day. And so you have that one scenario where business is always blasting you to buy what you want to buy. And then you have the other scenario of the story. What is really the story behind the business? And it isn't about its features. And so we're going to talk here in a minute, but what I want to just quickly cover is, Dr. Earl touched on it, are the categories that this contest is about. So you will be presenting the company's story or idea. It doesn't have to be a company just yet. It doesn't even have to be your company. You can reach out to someone in the community or someone around the world and ask to present their story. Or it may be, I had a student in my office this evening sharing about an idea of something that gets lost a lot and that hasn't been created yet, and sharing that story. So either story. So the three categories that we're going to be focusing on are products, service, and social. So when you're thinking of what is my story, does it fall into a product category? So give me some companies that would fall into a product category. Oh, you hit the first one. Well done. So GoPro. I took some of our students' businesses. Who's familiar with Coconut King over at the PCC? That's Elvis's business. Fluor Water, they competed. They created a water filter that not only filters your water, but measures it. Of course, you gotta love Ben & Jerry's. Maybe not the prices here in Hawaii, but it definitely is a product. And then if you guys have heard of the Half Heart Trilogy, that is a local author here who has written 3 books, which are definitely a product. So what are some other product ideas? So GoPro I think is one of the classic examples. They do a great job in showcasing the story behind their product. Matt? Mobile apps? Matt's in my mobile apps class. Absolutely. So if you have an app idea, it would fall within this category. Anything else? Okay. Next one, services. And I meant to ask you to think of services. So I couldn't fit all of it, but door-to-store, North Shore door-to-store. In fact, The owner just walked in. So, and the other owner is right there. So tell us about what North Shore door to store is, Kevin.
It's a Costco. It's basically we go into town and pick up groceries for you. So we'll go to Walmart, we'll go to Costco, we'll go to Sam's Club, and we go every single week on Saturday.
Okay. And coming from a father of 3.4 kids, having someone going into town where we don't have to make it a huge family event, or my wife, who does most of our shop, who does all of our shopping, that's a huge service. We have H&R Block. Who's familiar with H&R Block? Because I know that's an American. So, Brother Banks, what is H&R Block? Just taxes, death and taxes. Taxes is definitely a service. Perfect Perch was another business that was presented in last semester, well, in the winter competition, where they got yurts, Mongolian yurts, and people could come and rent out the yurts here on Hawaii. And I don't know if they actually launched it, but it falls under a service. And then I always slaughter the name. Those that are Hawaiian here, forgive me, but Kalia Pest Control, another local company that for all of us, whether you live in a really horrible, dirty place or in a mansion, you have to fight the cockroaches. And so that's a definite service. Okay, the next one's a little more ambiguous, a little more vague. What would be considered a social business? And I'll just give you a hint, it's not Twitter. Well Africa, okay, why? Tell me about Well Africa.
It is run by Kone, and what he's doing is he's creating a school in the Ivory Coast that is a nonprofit, and it's helping kids that would normally be working on plantations and stuff get an education when they normally wouldn't, and it's being funded by multiple different ventures, but everything's nonprofit, and it's to help people. That's the whole purpose of it.
So why is that a social company?
I would say it's social because it improves the world.
Okay. Matt?
Social ventures are those that address issues within society, so that whether that's illiteracy or poverty, lack of clean drinking water, it addresses those issues that helps increase the standards of living.
Yeah, so it addresses the social ills of society. Kevin wins the award for hitting Well Africa as the number one, but these are all student organizations or community organizations that work on social problems within society, and it's a business. You take Akin Clothing, for example. That is it does not have to be a nonprofit. A nonprofit it definitely is a social company, but Akin Clothing is a for-profit. Many of you here are familiar with Ben Howells. He graduated a couple of years ago, and he created a t-shirt company. And with each t-shirt he creates, he associates a project to it to help children in developing countries who are required to wear uniforms or they can't go to school. And so a lot of children around the world can't go to school because they can't afford the uniforms. So Ben created his t-shirt company, and with the profits of his t-shirts, he just was in Ecuador not too long ago, and he went into Ecuador, worked with a local clothing company to create those uniforms. So he could have created the uniforms probably for cheaper, but he wanted to help the economy, the local economy as well. And then they create those uniforms for the children, but he also makes sure that it's not a handout. The children have to do something to earn the uniform. So they'll clean up the schoolyard. They'll do something along those lines to get that uniform. And so these companies here are a great example of Shine Bright. So these three categories are what you're going to look at on what your video is going to be about. Is it going to somehow tell a story behind a product, behind a service, or behind a social company or idea. Any questions concerning these three categories? Okay. So let's talk about the money. So we're giving away over $20,000, and this, for great ideas, this is the most we have ever given for great ideas. Normally these have only 2 zeros behind it. And I give tribute to our center for really going to bat, saying, you know, our students, probably more than any other student in any of the other church schools, deserve money. So what we have here, we have these 3 prizes, and then we have a new prize that also is something we've never done before, but we think it's really good. That's what the NS. The NS stands for non-student. So there's a non-student, they will compete against other non-students. What qualifies as a non-student is anyone living in the state of Hawaii or alumni. So if you come from another country or even within the United States and you have friends and family who were students here, reach out to them and encourage them to participate. Because the power of video is that they don't have to be here. In fact, one thing that we're doing, we're recording the audio right now, and we're going to put this presentation online for the online students who are not here on campus as well. So that's something that will open up to the community. If you can help us get the word out to the community, obviously they're not competing against you, because if you're a student, you fall in the student category. So even if you have a team of 10, and I'll talk about the rules here in a second, but even if you have a team of 10 and 9 are community members and you are the only student, you will be put into the student category. Okay, so you can help community members, and if you want them to compete in the non-student category, then you need to not be on the form that you turn in, and I'll talk more about that. So any questions about the money? No? Okay. All right, let's talk about the judges. This was a huge undertaking to get these judges. These judges will be flying out to watch your videos. You may know a couple of these here. And all 4 of these judges have a very strong social influence. So by raise of hands, how many know Tiffany Alvord? I know I asked this in Actus. Oh, okay, a few more. She's probably, of the 4, she probably has the strongest, and believe it or not, even beats out David Archuleta, social presence. So these 4 and a few other judges will be watching the finals, and everyone will be able to participate. We're going to have them speak as well, and maybe convince Tiffany and David Archuleta to do a concert. We're still working things through their agents and whatnot. How many here are familiar with Devin Graham? Okay, about half. So real quick, I should introduce Tiffany. Tiffany is a musician. She plays the guitar. And what is really powerful about this contest is, in the past, we've really focused on, okay, you need to know your market, you need to know all these things, and it's alienated other areas of business that people don't typically think of, such as musicians. Or if you, on the far left here, my left, your right, is Stuart Edge. Who's heard of Stuart Edge? Okay, Stuart Edge is a comedian and does a lot of pranks and different things on YouTube. And Devin, I would say, is a videographer, is what I would classify. All 4 of these judges are not your typical business of let's go do a startup. And so we're reaching out to the music department, the acting club and classes, and trying to get them involved as well, because if you have a passion, you can definitely make a business behind it. All of these and a whole bunch of more example of people like these are making a great living through video, and that's the main reason why they're coming. So that's our judges. Next, I want to talk about our criterion of what you're going to be judged on. So this is what our judges are looking at. Non-commercial is a little bit vague. It doesn't mean you can't bring up your product or your service or social. It means don't create a commercial. Okay? The judges, both for those that are going to watch the semifinals and the finals, don't want to see why your the next phone has all these amazing features. But that doesn't mean that you can't mention it. It just means that you're not doing what you normally hear on the radio or see on TV. Now, that's not good. Samantha, would you go get the plug so this doesn't die? So, non-commercial, original, or novel. So what's going to happen here is in these 5 areas, the judges are going to be given a scale of 1 to 10. And both for the semifinals and the finals, they will say, hey, it is a 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. And these are the different areas. Original novel, something that's unique or creative, or actually the next one shows creative, something that looks like you put some effort into, or that you put some of your talent with. Elicits an emotion. What do you think that means? I mean, that's kind of clear, but what sort of emotions do you think a video can elicit? In the back.
Wouldn't the emotions be based around the video itself? It could be anything. It could be humor, it could be sadness, it could be remorse, it could be compassion, it could be anger.
Yeah. No, I think you're spot on. A lot of times when people think elicit emotion, it's going to make me cry. But you're hitting it right on. Austin Craig, who, if you guys have ever seen Will It Blend, where they take a blender and they blend iPhones, they blend anything they can think of. He also did Aura Brush. If you're familiar with Aura Brush, it's basically a tongue brush. He's had a lot of things that have gone viral. And this is one of the things when I reached out to him and said, hey, you're definitely an expert in this area. What would be something that you would judge a viral video on? And he said, I want something that makes me go, wow, or makes me laugh, or moves me. And so we felt that it was really important to make this part of the criteria. And then the final one is subjective, but is it shareable? Like, meaning, is this something that if whatever target market you're focusing your video on would share? And so those 5 areas are what we're going to have for criteria. And I'm going to give, in my presentation that talks about what really makes videos go viral, I'm going to show just some of the areas that really make things shareable. So this is what you're going to be judged on. Questions? Nope? Okay. Awesome. All right, let's talk about your resources that you have. So when I've already forced my 2 classes to create videos. And when I told for many of my students, when I said, you have to create a video, it was like a deer in headlights. Like they were going to get hit and they didn't know how to get out of the way. And from that, we've been able to help them get over that fear, because it isn't as difficult as if you've never done a video. By raise of hand, who has not done a video before? Okay, that's a lot less than I thought. Okay, for those that have not done a video, it is not as difficult. For my class, I put together a movie for my wife's company that took me actually took me an hour to create the video, but it took probably another hour and a half to just find the facts that I was using. And so what we have at the Willis Center that I used for that video, we have purchased 5 5th generation, so it's the latest iPod. Believe it or not, your phones are powerful enough to create video and to do high quality video for the most part, not all of them. And you can obviously do a lot more with heavier equipment. So we have 5 iPods with all the necessary apps on it to take the video and to edit the video. We have also 2 video cameras. If you're more comfortable with that, you can come and reach out to us. You also have the media services. They have several as well, but most of them are dealing, they have a lot of them that are film. So if you're comfortable with film, that's fantastic. But for at least myself, I'm a little more digital. And they do have a few that have SD cards, but for the most part it's film. So you also have your campus computers, I think it's the library computers that have the Adobe suite. So if you want to try out some pretty heavy editing material, you can go there. Media services, we have a whole department that handles all our broadcasting, and I talked to the director there, his name's Micah, and they're very excited, as you can imagine, because this is what they do for a profession. And there's a lot of students there that do this as their job, and I encourage you, if not to reach out and ask questions, reach out and partner with them. But the final thing is, how many here know that we have a media lab? Yeah, they just started this. It's in the copy center in the library where they will edit, well, they won't, they'll help you edit your video. So if you're truly concerned, there's a whole bunch of resources that you can take advantage of to use. And so, and also us as entrepreneurs, it's open, you're welcome to come and see us as well. So let's talk about the rules. The first rule is no longer than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And no shorter, and I don't have this on here, but no shorter than 6 seconds. Why would we say it couldn't be shorter than 6 seconds? Dr. Earl. Vine videos. Who's familiar with Vines? Okay, I'm going to show you, I think I got it. A couple of Vine videos are 6 seconds long. Twitter purchased them, and they loop. Whoops, sorry. They loop. And believe it or not, you can get your message across in 6 seconds. And you may prove us wrong and say, hey, I can get it across in 3 seconds. Be very impressed. But 6 seconds is, throw some credits that go another 3 seconds to cover that. So you can make it in. Okay? You must have permission of anyone you are recording. So we have legal forms. I'll show you a URL here quickly in a minute that talks about what you need to download. If you're recording someone in your video, you need to get their permission, and you need to make it clear to them that if you win, unless they're a part of your team, you don't have to give them money. Okay? And there's been times that in my own professional career where those sort of things were not done, and it caused a lot of problems. So make sure you download the forms and get people to sign them. Also on permission, we had, my class today asked if you could create a video around a business and not ask their permission. And we discussed this, and I had talked to we discussed this as faculty, but I also had talked to my class about it. I showed you Devin Graham. He had reached out to the game makers of Assassin's Creed, and he said, hey, you know, I'm a new videographer. I'd like to create a video around Assassin's Creed. I'd love for you to pay for it. And they said, nah, I don't think so. And Devin's like, oh, okay. And he went and created it anyway. And within, I think it was about a week, he had close to 20 million views off of it. And then he got a call from them and said, you know what, we take it back. We'd love to pay you. We'd love to gain the rights of this, and we'd love for you to do the next one. So we strongly encourage you to get the permission of the company, and realize that if you don't, that the company does have the right to do a cease and desist on your video. So we encourage you. That's the rule for that. Follow the honor code. And this particularly, I mean, we'll have this linked on our site, but for the community members that go beyond Law EA, because you don't need to be a member to enter this competition, This will be something that's important. So if you know people that may not know BYU's honor code, encourage them to look over that. Basically, modesty, no profanity. You guys are all familiar. I'm sure we'll be okay if you have someone with a beard in there. But beyond that, you need to follow the honor code with it. No copyright infringement. And I just realized that I left out a slide that can show you different places that you could download free music without having to worry about copyright. That might be a little important, but we have 2 additional workshops coming up. One's about how to create the video, and then one after that is about music. Both of them I'll encourage to just show you where you can get music. So there are musicians here on campus that you can work with. We had yesterday, I don't know Josh's last name. Josh, are you here from the Kalakai? No. He offered his services if you wanted to use some of his music. So if you're interested in that, you can come to my office. I'd be more than willing to give that to you. But there are websites out there that you don't have to pay, that you just have to give credit to the artist. So make sure, and so that's music. If you're using images, you have to also be careful as well. So make sure you own the images, and there is a fair use policy with movies, and I think it's 8 seconds that you can use of a movie and not get in trouble. And one of my students did that, and I'll give you an example of that. And then the final one is it can't be dangerous, and this is very vague as well, and this is left up to the discretion of the judges. But let me see if I put on here. I did one that would qualify, and I got this is a student in my mobile apps class, and I got her permission to share this, that she wouldn't be able to use. Okay, so any questions while Samantha is playing with this on what might be classified as dangerous? Jumping off the pier, which is what that video, this is going to be a real problem if we can't watch video, because I have like a whole bunch of video for you. That's fine. Yeah, so the question was asked choreographed fighting, and I could understand with what you guys would be working on, you would have that. I'm fairly certain if it's not something where you're, jumping on someone and beating them up, that it would be fine. And particularly with what you guys are doing for the books, I don't see any issues with that. So one of my students asked if hiking or surfing, and again, most likely not, but it will be at the discretion of the judges. So what we'll do here, so that's what we have for rules, and you guys will see this slide when it comes up, the submissions, what exactly is due. So this is due November 10th at 11:59 p.m. Let me try this real quick. And when you turn it in, we then have 7 days to, wow, that's loud. 7 days to judge it and announce the winners on November 17th. And then from there, let's try this. Well, this is going to be a really short presentation, but that's okay. We have food at the end, so it's all worth it. So you have to turn it in by November 10th, 1 minute before midnight. You have to turn it in. You have to upload it to the internet. We prefer YouTube or Vimeo, but if you have another preference, as long as we can access it and it's not private. That's. You want to unscrew it. Yeah, no, that was we. I'm glad I don't teach both my classes
Switch
here.
to another.
What's that? Oh. Okay. We'll keep going and we'll... you'll turn in a business description. So even though you're doing a video around the story of the business, you need to just do a short 1 to 2 sentences about what your idea or company is. You have to list all your team members and you have to state whether they're a student or not a student. So you'll have to provide their student ID. And this right here is where you would see the URL for where you could get all this information. So if you go to the williscenter.byuh.edu/contests, you'll be able to find it there. We had some we're seeming to have several technical difficulties, but we had some technical difficulties with our website, so I don't know. Is that up, Jason?
Should be by tomorrow morning.
Okay. So it is Willis Center, WILLES Center.byuh.edu/contests with an S. And what's that? Yeah, we can try. We don't have an adapter for the Apple, but Lenny.
So this is just clarify. So basically, you guys and the judges are the only ones like watching videos. So it's not really like
Yeah.
mics or.
It's not a viral video contest. Thank you for clarifying that. You will be putting it on the internet, but we're not going to ask you to go bug your friends, family, and deceased relatives to watch your video. So yeah, thank you. When we were in the beta phase of creating this, we called it viral video contest. It's now, the great idea is video competition, and it really is telling the story of your business. So, other questions? Because it'll be pointless in me going on to the presentation if I can't show video. Brother Banks.
Well, 2 things is about the money. You want to clarify how the money's split?
Yeah, so in past times, there's been a lot of different regulations around the money, but the way it works, whatever you submit as your video and on your team, we allocate the funds to them, so it's an equal split. So you could have 1,000 people, and if you get a $1,000 prize, you won't get $1 each because taxes and Uncle Sam will take his due, but roughly around that. So whoever you put on there, and we won't, if they're not on the submission, you can't add them afterwards. So make sure that you know who your team is. So, Les.
The competition will basically all be done online. Is what you're saying, like will we actually get together?
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Yes, so November 20th, we will have this opened up and everyone will come in. In fact, we're going to be doing a best of show as well, where everyone will come, you'll get to see what the final submissions are, along with the judges. And I think we decided for the community prize to have everyone in the crowd vote. There'll be a number, it's sort of like American Idol. I'm not sure if that is for the non-student prize or not, but we will be doing a best of show or community prize where you as the participants who are watching will get to vote as well.
And when will that take place?
November 20th
Evening?
in the afternoon.